Hi, this is Dave with High Gravity. Today we're going to demonstrate our newest brewing system. It's the two-vessel, one-barrel configuration. And something's missing. Just a minute. Oh, yes. Thank you. All right, that's better. Okay, so this is the newest system that we put together, and we're pretty excited about it. It is high performance, where it's got two 5,750 watt elements. That's 11,500 watts of power. And it's got two of the brand new Riptide pumps, and they are awesome. They have an integrated flow control. They have tri-clamp fittings to take it all apart and clean it. And these motors are quiet. Both of these things are running, and you can't even hear them. And we've got the best mash tun on the planet, a Blickman Boilermaker with the Blickman mash screen. And this thing recirculates in a crazy infinity loop. It's essentially a brew easy in a 55-gallon size, side by side instead of stacked. This is the same system that we brew on, and even our first brew day on a busy Saturday went very smoothly. Okay. Like a single vessel system, all the water that you're going to brew with goes in the vessels, and it's distributed between the two. We've got 48 gallons of water distributed between these two vessels, and in the mash tun we've got the same ratio that we would use in a three-vessel system, and that's 1 gallon for every 3 pounds of grain in the recipe. And it is recirculating in an infinity loop like this, and the temperature is sitting at 154. I've only got one of the heating elements firing right now to hold the temperature. You can fire two when you want to cut the time in half needed to reach your target, or increase the intensity of the boil when you're boiling. Here's a look inside the kettle. We've got the water recirculating, and it's coming out of the whirlpool inlet. It is the spin cycle 14-inch whirlpool inlet. These things are awesome. They install up here above the max liquid level and drop the output down perfect height to spin everything around. And then over here in the mash tun we've got the auto sparge, which is crucial to maintain your liquid level to keep this thing from needing to be babysitted the whole time you mash. So once we are doughed in, we're going to set that level, and it will maintain the level that we set perfectly. This system uses our Wort Hog EBC-350. It's a dual heat output, dual pump model. And right now we've got the HLT heat turned off. We don't need it. I could turn it on for a moment and show you. Got the temperature monitored at the output of each vessel. Right now they're both very close, about 154. And we have so much water, so much heat mass, we're going to dough in and it won't even drop a degree or two, maybe 1 or 2, and it'll come right back. These pumps are manually controlled, and this is the mash kettle heat output. You could run this system, now that it's up to temperature, all on that side. That's enough heat to do the mash. And it's actually enough heat to boil, but if you want a nice intense boil, you'll crank the other one on and then turn this one down a little bit. When you're mashing, it's going to be automatic temp control. When you're boiling, you're going to switch it to boil mode, and in this case you'll be selecting a percentage of power from 0 to 100%. Go back to mash mode, automatic temp control. And that beep beep indicates it's up to target. The temperature probes are at the output of each vessel, and they are installed in these T's that have cam lock fittings, so they can go in series anywhere in a loop that you want to use them. They're pretty versatile that way. Closer to the output of each vessel is going to give you the best indication of what's going on in that vessel. We've got a pair of the new Blickman Riptide pumps. These things are awesome. They're both running and you can't hear them. I think I said that earlier. They have an integrated linear flow valve, and they're attached to the motor with a 3-inch tri-clamp, so it all comes apart, easy cleaning, and they have a nice long cord, plus an integrated base. These things are awesome. We're ready to dough in, so I'm going to turn off the pumps, turn off the heat. You want to turn the heat off if the pumps aren't running. You don't measure an accurate temperature if the pumps aren't running. The heat will just keep going. So this is our grain bill. We've got 61 pounds of grain for an oatmeal stout. And we're going to stir that in. Let's start with this one. For a 5-gallon batch, or a 10-gallon batch even, you might be done. This vessel makes this big mash paddle seem small. No dough balls. Oh man, that's looking good. Porridge. Get everything stirred in really well. No clumps, no dough balls. Everything's well hydrated, well distributed. Wing around. Alright, so we're going to hook this up to recirculate just the mash tun to set the grain bed so all the little sprouts and things don't get into the wort. Okay, we want this to recirculate just the mash tun until the grain bed is set. So we're going to disconnect this one, swing this one over here. I'll just set that right there to hang on to it. There, you can see we've got just a loop right here. We're going to turn on pump 2. All the little pieces, the sprouts and everything will get set here so they're not coming out into the liquid that goes through the kettle. These pumps are great. Alright, so I'm going to also recirc the kettle. It's kind of a hot liquor tank at this point, but get that back up to temperature as well since we've been sitting here off for several minutes. So each side is recirculating like this. We've got our filter bed set. It's been recirculating for several minutes. I set a timer on my phone for a 1-hour mash. We don't put a timer in the controller. Everybody's got a nice timer they can carry around in their pocket. And so now we're going to turn off the pumps and the heat for a moment and swap these connectors. There we go. Go ahead and turn on the pumps and hit the heat. Just one heating element's plenty. It's showing the mash temp drop to 146. It's going to come back up pretty quickly. And we're doing the infinity loop. I've got the level set with the auto sparge, so it's going to stay right there. as long as this pump doesn't outrun that pump. That's all you got to worry about. And that's super easy. Just make sure this can keep up. The auto sparge will limit it. We've reached the end of the mash, and we're doing a mash out. And so we're going to raise the temperature up to 168 and then let all the wort go from the mash tun into the kettle. So we've reached the mash out temperature. We're going to transfer the wort into the kettle. We're going to do that by turning off pump 1. And then pump 2 will take it out of the mash tun into the kettle. You can also crank up the heat to start bringing this to a boil. So we need to make the set point higher than the measured value. We'll go ahead and make it above boiling. This altitude, that ought to do it. The other one, we're going to put in boil mode by pressing the button once, choosing mode boil, and we'll go ahead and crank the power up to 100% to begin with. As it starts rolling, we're going to turn that down. And we're starting to boil. I've switched one of the heating elements off until the hot break falls in. Keep it under control. When you're not recirculating, when the pumps are off, you're not reading an accurate temperature. So essentially you're just turning the heat full on this side when set point is above the measured value, and then you can trim the power on this side 0 to 100%. Any change in boil mode is instantaneous. When you're in mash mode, you have to push it one more time to set it. We are whirlpooling and chilling at the same time. We've unplugged the heating elements, and we've got the heat turned on so we can monitor the temperature. We're down to 166, and take a look in here. We'll see a nice whirlpool going on. Beautiful. We got it chilled down to 73, and we're going to go ahead and put it in the fermenter. And I've got this all hooked up and ready to go. Pan to the right, there you go. And all we're going to do is hook this up at the output of the pump. That's what we're doing. Okay. Yeah, like that. All right. Valve is open. This valve is now open. It's already trying to go. Pump 1. There it goes. Ooh. So there we have it. We're going into the fermenter, and this brew day took about 5 hours. We still have a little bit of cleanup to do, and that's a wrap.